Bryce Young this season has a lot of weight on his shoulders, man. It's a make or break year for him. He either has to show up or get replaced by the end of the season. Is he going to be able to live up to the expectations that comes with being the first overall pick? Because remember, Carolina gave up the farm to get this dude. They traded away DJ Moore and a few other draft picks. Bryce Young with new head coach Dae Canales, I think that we're going to see him have a breakout season this year. Okay, and I look at his rookie season as a throwaway year. I'm tired of Panthers fans coming at me saying, oh, JT, well, he held the ball too long. He didn't have a lot of athleticism, bro. I don't give a shit. I really don't. The dude had a terrible roster, man. I watched Carolina play Jacksonville live in person, and he was running for his life every play. There were receivers that were getting jammed to hell, getting pressed to the sidelines. Like, listen, I'm tired of people trying to hold Bryce Young's rookie year against him and trying to ignore the fact that Carolina just completely sucked, okay? Now, going into his second year, he finally has a supporting cast that he's going to be able to have a good season. Okay, this is going to be a supporting cast that is going to be able to help Bryce Young take that big leap in his second year. Deontay Johnson is a really good route runner. He was really underrated during his time in Pittsburgh and really overhated. He's not a locker room issue. The dude just wants to make plays, and that's what Bryce Young is going to give him the chance to do. Deontay Johnson is the kind of wide receiver that is going to be a perfect fit for what Dae Canales wants to do offensively. Dae Canales' offense is all about timing, getting the ball out fast. That's what Bryce Young should do a good job of this year, because when he was coming out of Alabama, what he did well was that he was a really good processor. He was able to read the defenses, figure out what they were doing, and figure out how to attack them. And he was also considered a point guard, according to Nick Saban. You know, he was a good distributor. He knew how to spread the wealth. For a quarterback like Bryce Young to be effective that doesn't have a strong arm, you got to have guys who can create separation and can do it at a snap of a finger. That's what Deontay Johnson can do. He's one of the best route runners in the game. The only question about Deontay Johnson is, can you trust him late in games to come down with clutch catches? Because drops have been an issue that have played Deontay Johnson the last couple of years, but it's not like this dude is dropping every pass that gets thrown his way. If you're only dropping 8-9 catches out of 90 to 100 and something targets, I don't really think that's all that bad. Deontay Johnson is going to be really good with Bryce Young this year. Bryce Young also is going to have Jonathan Brooks in the backfield along with Chuba Hubbard. So you're going to have a way better run game. You drafted Xavier Legette. With what Bryce Young has around him this year, he now has a fair chance to show us how good he actually can be, because we didn't really get to see that last year. And I get that when you get drafted as high as what Bryce Young did, you're expected to overcome certain limitations. But you can't overcome a completely dog shit situation like what Bryce Young had. The offensive line couldn't block nobody. Wide receivers couldn't get open. And when they did, they were dropping passes. It just wasn't a good situation for Bryce to succeed in. But with Dae Canales replacing Frank Wright, somebody who has done a really good job of helping Baker Mayfield resurrect his career. He had Geno Smith balling his one season when he wasn't riding anybody back and he was an MVP candidate. You know, you saw how Geno Smith somewhat regressed last season once Dae Canales left, and you could see the same thing happening with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What does that tell you? That tells you that, hey, Dae Canales, although he didn't get a lot of head coaching interviews and he doesn't have a lot of experience being an OC or a play caller in general, this dude knows how to get good quarterback play. He knows how to speak to quarterbacks. And with you having a guy in Dae Canales that's going to run a scheme that's better suited for Bryce Young's strengths, that's going to help maximize Bryce Young's talent. Similar to the Miami Dolphins when they got rid of Brian Flores and they replaced him with Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel ran a West Coast system that was based off the Kyle Shanahan offense, which he got a lot of influence from because he was on that staff, and you gave him Tua Tagovailoa, who was a quarterback that, like Bryce Young, didn't have the strongest arm, but he was really good when it came to throwing the ball with accuracy, in between the numbers, getting the ball out fast, taking care of the football. I see Bryce Young having a Trevor Lawrence and Tua Tagovailoa kind of ascension in his second season, as long as Dae Canales is as good as a offensive mind as we believe him to be, based on what he's done with Seattle and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I believe Bryce Young is going to have a really strong second year in the NFL. I believe this is going to be his coming out party, and this is going to be the year that we see Bryce Young show us all why he was drafted #1 overall by Carolina. I think he's going to have a breakout season.